Hello and welcome everyone to episode 2 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How are you doing this week, Brandon?
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. Getting over a bit of a cold, so if I sound congested at all, that's why. I just got a little head cold and trying to power through this, but thankfully I have the wonderful healing power of One Piece to guide me through, and I'm already feeling better for reading it. And nobody ever talks about the curative properties of One Piece.
Yeah, of course. You got wrinkles on your face. It'll clear up your wrinkles. It'll just, put a smile on your face, and you'll just be feeling like $1,000,000 when you read One Piece. All it takes is 5 chapters.
Yeah, 5 chapters a week. That's all you need. And you know what? This podcast will actually even enhance those properties. It's like going from PlayStation to PlayStation Plus, or however you wanted to talk about it. It's just that good. But I suppose we should actually talk about this week's chapters, as we're ending one arc and getting into the next. But before that, we should actually, end this arc with chapter 6, number 1, where we pick up with Luffy just really excited that Zoro's joining his crew.
Yeah.
I just love the desperation. Like, Luffy's just so concentrated. It's like, yay, you're joining me. It's like, just untie me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. This whole moment, this gag is great, because you just have the Marines slowly closing in, and Luffy's just like, okay. Oops. These knots are kind of tight. And then, he's just messing around while the clock is very quickly turning down.
Yeah, you got all these, like, well, if bullets can't hurt him, let's use our swords and chop him up and go that way. And just Luffy's like, just untie. He's like, oh, hey, I got one of your arms untied.
Yeah, absolutely no tension.
Nope, he is just not selling it at all. And meanwhile, Zoro's losing his mind.
Yeah, yes.
I love it so much. But I do love this suddenness of, like, Morgan going, those who defy me must die. And to the next page, Zoro getting his other arms free and away from the post and blocking every sword with the ridiculousness that is his 3-sword style.
It makes no sense, but I just love how cool it looks. You just have this, because this is basically the reveal, as far as like the reader knows, is like, oh, that's what this means by using the 3-sword style. Like, he's got, he's able to block somehow like a half dozen or more Marines here with just like 2 swords in his hands and 1 in his mouth.
How strong is his bite strength at this point? Because my God, and I think it's even implied that his mouth, like, he can even talk normally with it in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
Before getting into One Piece originally, this was one of the first things I heard about, is that, oh yeah, there's a swordsman there that uses 3 swords and one of them goes in his mouth. I'm like, wait, what? That sounds dumb.
Yeah, it's so dumb, but it's so cool, and that's just One Piece in a nutshell. And a little subtle thing that I really like, I'll have to go back and check, because I'm not sure if the Japanese version does this, but in the Funimation dub, they actually take consideration to whenever Zoro is speaking, like, with the sword in his mouth, it sounds like he's got something in his mouth. And I always loved that touch.
That is a good attention to detail.
Yeah. He sounds rah. Yeah.
The first one who moves dies.
Yeah.
And yet he's still threatening with that happening.
Yes.
I love this reveal. It is, as you said, the proper amount of ridiculousness, and it just works. Like, it says a lot about Oda that Zoro still looks badass doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
And then they've got the just utter ridiculousness of the next panel, where he's still holding them back. They're not moving, and Luffy's just sort of standing there. It's like, yeah, okay, this is a thing that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. No big deal. This is such a great exchange. He's like basically making demands of Luffy. He's like, all right, you got me on your crew. I'm a pirate now. And if I have to abandon my goal of becoming the greatest swordsman, then I forget what harakiri is, but I'm imagining it's ritual suicide. It's like, you're going to commit suicide for doing this.
To stab yourself in the belly, for the shame that you've brought upon.
Yeah. And Luffy's like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have the greatest swordsman on my crew when I'm going to be king of the pirates. Like, he's already referring to himself as his boss.
Yeah.
And just, like, the camaraderie between these two, the way these two play off each other, just right off the bat, is such...
It's, like, instant.
Yeah. It just
Yeah.
immediately gels together, and I'm impressed. Like, I really can't put it any other way than that. It's just like they have this great repertoire together just by talking and even while
Yeah.
fighting, because this is our first real fight scene where
Yeah.
he's blocking all of them, and Luffy pulls out a brand new Gum Gum move, which is Whip.
And that spread when he just like, I cannot get enough of the way that Oda plays with perspective with these big attack spreads that just really sell Luffy's like stretchy abilities. Like that first spread when Luffy punches the sea monster at the end of the first chapter, like it's a similar sort of framing of just like you get to see his limbs just like stretch far into the frame, and you just have a full view of the kind of like power that it has.
It looks
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah, it looks painful. It looks impressive.
It's
great.
It's a great first fight scene, and they're not seriously hurt, but they're basically like, well, we're screwed. We can't do this. And
Yeah.
you got Zoro just hanging out, Luffy hanging out. Like, they're just sort of like, whatever. What is it? The
Yes.
boom?
Yeah. I think this is the first of many of these kinds of panels where it's just you have this big old spread of them posing really, really cool as they have downed like so many enemies, and they're just like, what about it, just so casually. It is just the peak of cool.
Absolutely. And then, I don't know if this was in the anime at all, because holy crap, Morgan.
Oh yeah.
It just like, hey, all you cowards who are whining, just shoot yourselves in the head, because I don't tolerate defeatists. And they're seriously pointing their guns at their own head.
I need to go and check the 4Kids dub of the scene where they got water guns. You're like, oh, I'm gonna point a water gun at my head.
Soak your ears. You all deserve wet willies. That's the only way to make this up to me.
Hey, that's uncomfortable. You know what? Hey, that's a fair punishment.
That's way more fair than kill yourself because you're a defeatist.
Yeah, it's just you must die for valuing your life. But hey, that's Captain Morgan for you.
Mm-hmm. And I got this. I love how Luffy's like, no, don't kill yourselves. This is dumb.
Yeah.
The face-off between Morgan and Luffy, I don't think there's ever a moment where I thought Luffy was in trouble.
Yeah.
But it does a good job of showing off the power of Morgan. The fact that he cuts down through that fence and wall, and he's nothing to be scoffed at. There's a reason he's feared. He's not completely...
Yeah. He is a threat. And it's good to... I guess that's sort of the difference between this first real fight and like with Alvida, it was like a curb stomp of a couple pages, but at least we're sort of getting the establishment that this foe is at least something to be feared, which is something, of course, we'll see more and more of that as things go on. But I do like that just rather quickly, he was able to establish like, hey, yeah, like that axe is something to be avoided.
Yeah, and he doesn't go down in just one hit. He gets kicked in the face, sent flying, and yet he still gets up. And I love the detail of him grabbing the weird protrusion at the bottom of his elbow in order to put even more power behind it.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. That's so weird. I hate looking at that thing.
Oh, it's gross. It's gross. You gotta love just the pure confidence by Luffy. Like, yeah, Luffy's avoiding it all. He's kicking him in the head once again. And Morgan just does not stand a chance.
I really enjoyed the choreography in these panels. Like everything feels kind of almost. I feel bad for saying this. Like kind of Dragon Ball-esque there. Yeah. It's like that's what every shonen manga is to an extent.
That
but
is
like
the comparison.
Yeah, but like I think I mean specifically like the clarity with which there's sort of like an action and reaction for every move, and Oda takes the time to sort of panel that out, and it takes more time to convey it this way, but it's something I really appreciate. Having read a lot of the later chapters, I feel like a lot of the action set pieces don't really get the time to like breathe on the page because there's so much story content to cover in a single chapter. So I really like that it's like these early action scenes really get a chance to breathe in terms of the paneling and the choreography.
Yeah, you get a sense of Luffy's agility because he's just avoiding everything Morgan's throwing at him.
Yeah, and his body's just like twisting and turning, and just like the way Oda is able to just like draw it so effortlessly is addictive. It's so cool.
It's really good, and it would just be a complete beatdown, not that it wasn't already, until Helmeppo stands in and we get the most infamous 4Kids panel, I think.
yeah. I was aware of this edit far before I would even become a One Piece fan. Where you've got Helmeppo pointing a gun at Coby's head, and you kind of think like, at least in terms of the manga, he's already been shot. Like, yeah, I guess it's not. I mean, yeah, he's got a gun pointed at his head, but like I don't know if that's necessarily as tense because like, yeah, he's already taken a bullet at this point.
I mean, technically, this one would hit him in the head, which I think is going to be a little more fatal.
Yeah, a little more fatal. Yeah, but yeah, the 4Kids edit of I don't even know what they turned it into.
It was like a hammer gun,
weird hammer thing. Like it didn't mesh with the art at all. At least with like the water guns, they basically just had to like change the color, but. I don't know what they were doing here, but yeah, that was something that I was aware of online before I had even considered reading One Piece. It was one of the first things I knew.
I think it was one of those early indicators, probably for 4Kids, where they're like, "Ah, crap, we've made a mistake."
yeah, maybe we shouldn't have picked this one up.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still a great moment, just in the manga itself, because this is Coby at his best bravery. Like I kind of forgot that he's like, hey, just let him kill me. Take down these guys. I don't care if it costs me my life. That's awesome.
It's a great development on his part. So quickly at that.
Like no hesitation whatsoever. You don't see him freaking out. Like he got a kind of panicked face.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And just you turn away from his head and then it's just bam, let him kill me. Take down these Navy officers.
Yes.
And then there's the implied instant trust between Luffy and Zoro, where Luffy is doing the gum pistol against Helmeppo, and while Morgan's coming up behind him, and you just see this little thing where the sword goes back into Zoro's mouth, and they take out the Morgans in one go.
I love like you have that panel after Helmeppo goes down, and you just you see XN Morgan coming, like it looks like he's about to swing his arm down, but you just shift to the next panel and he just like falls back. It's a great way to play with the reader's expectations.
It's just a badass moment. We have again Zoro, ridiculous. He has a sword in his mouth, but that pose is so silly, I feel like instantly iconic.
yeah. Like I can't get enough of the silhouette of him having like two swords raised on each. Like in each hand, and then just like the one sword in his mouth cutting through. It's just a cool pose. It shouldn't be as cool as it is.
It really shouldn't. But there's nothing much to it. Like the fight itself is relatively short, but there's just enough here in these early chapters to get a sense for both of their abilities and their teamwork, which I think is the bigger thing.
They get to show off
how well they work together right off the bat.
Yeah. I mean, that was chapter 6, but it felt like they had been fighting together for several chapters already.
Right, and that's it for chapter 6. That's the battle. Morgan is defeated, and I like that Zoro is the one that got the victory over it.
Yeah. I think that makes sense given what he's been through. It makes sense that he's the one to deal the final blow.
Absolutely. And then we're on to chapter 7, Friends, and again. Utterly ridiculous title page where Luffy's painting the pirate symbol on a bear for some reason.
With bread in his mouth?
Yeah. The bear's just sitting there. He has bread. There's a bunch of bread near a sleeping Zoro. A bird somehow got involved as well. Like it is, I don't understand this one, but I kind of love it because the bear's just sort of like, I'll stick around.
Yeah, I love a lot of these early covers are just like, let's just put the characters in an animal in somehow, and they're just gonna do something goofy,
pretty much. But yeah, we get the opening where it's like, hey, Morgan's down, Helmeppo's down, all the other Marines are looking at each other. It's like, well, what do we do now? Oh, hey, let's celebrate. We're free.
Yeah. It makes sense when you consider, like, because you got the Marines here all, like, celebrating that Morgan's reign of terror is over, bonsai for the Navy. You sort of got to see them go through their own little, like, mini arc of their own as they sort of follow the command of Morgan and Helmeppo until, like the commands get more and more ridiculous. Like, throw the little girl out, and they obey that, and then it's like, well, wait, throw her out. You should have killed her. And it's like, I'm not going to kill a little girl. And then, like things like that, they sort of get more and more like, hey, like, this sucks. So this is about the right reaction.
Yeah, you can always see them kind of fighting back. So it makes sense that they were immediately like, oh, thank God.
Yes.
And there is that wonderful little moment of relief with Coby. It's like, oh, cool, they're not all corrupt. It was just Morgan being ruling by fear.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of an obvious statement, but I do like that affirmation, like, for his own sake. It's like, oh, thank goodness.
Yes.
And then Zoro passes out because, oh yeah, he was starved for 9 days and still able to pull that stuff off.
Yeah. I love that Luffy is like, you would have never survived the whole month. Like, dang, dude.
It's like, you're eating more than me. Common eating thing. I love this little like moment too. It's just villagers staring at them from outside the window.
Oh yeah, I just.
It's the fun little details. Like, yeah, it makes sense that people are like, oh, they're the ones who took down Morgan. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, Zoro's not as scary as he looks.
Nope, not at all. And that's when we get Zoro asking, okay, what do we do next? All right, we're going for that grand line that we talked about before.
Yeah, we get Coby freaking out again.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he's not wrong in this case when there is only 2 of them.
Right, yeah, for sure. I guess this is sort of like the last one of these, of him sort of freaking out after somebody says something really outlandish. I like that it sort of moves on to like Luffy saying, we're going our separate ways, but we're always going to be friends. And,
right.
That's a great little sentiment.
Exactly. There's a nice difference to the context here, where before it's like, that's impossible, you can't do that. And instead now it's being framed as, I'm worried about you this time.
Yeah, exactly.
I not saying you can't do it, but I really like you and I don't want you to come to harm. So
yeah,
please be okay.
This is sort of the moment that I was waiting for since his introduction, being put on this path where, he on the next page, he finally admits, like, the 2 of you taught me to fight for what I believe in. And that's like the secret sauce to One Piece. I feel like sometimes is just, this is sort of the effect that, Luffy and his friends have on people. And Coby is the first victim, so to speak, of learning how to fight for what he believes in. Yeah.
And then, again, Zoro and Luffy just being on the same page immediately. It's like, you have to fight for what you believe in. Yeah, that's why I'm going to the Grand Line. And Zoro's just like, yeah, it makes sense to me. Like, that logic's sound.
Yeah, sure, why not?
But he is also, again, smart because, like, yeah, you're going to have trouble joining the Navy. You were a cabin boy with a pirate for 2 years. They find out about that. You're not enlisting.
Yeah.
Which it does set up the crux of the whole kind of conflict the rest of the chapter, where I believe the Marine, they'd said, like, oh my God, he died. That one that got cut by Morgan for refusing to kill a little girl. Hey, he's okay.
Is it the same guy?
I think it is. I recognize the beard. So I think it's the same guy.
I'll have to go back and check that. I sort of see it. Huh.
Mm-hmm. I think it is. But he kind of comes in and points out, like, hey, you saved us. You saved the town. We're grateful. But we are Marines and we can't really deal with pirates. So we're not going to report you, but you need to get out. And they're just like, yeah, all right.
Also the first of many of these.
While all the villagers are like, hey, what the heck?
Yeah. The good old, gotta follow the rules. Gotta kick out, they're pirates, gotta kick them out. So, that's the sort of dichotomy between doing what's right and doing what you're told to do.
Mm-hmm. And we got the conclusion to Coby's character arc, where it's like, hey, you're not going with them? And he has to declare that, no, he's not with them.
This is a great moment, and I think a really good, like, shining moment for Luffy's character. He does this bit where he's like, oh yeah, we totally know what happened. Like, oh yeah, he's about to let slip to the Navy that Coby used to be on a pirate crew, and it's just like baiting him to the point of, like, Coby just straight out, like, just punches Luffy. Just tells him to shut up.
That's a good, impactful punch too. Like, it feels like truly like, you're crushing my dream. How dare you? I am going to deck you.
Finally, sort of forcing Coby to fight for something for once in his life.
And of course, it doesn't really hurt Luffy at all. And, he just pummels poor Coby. It's like, obviously not hitting him that hard, but just a fun little exchange. Obviously, it's like, hey, obviously you're not friends. Leave town. Don't punch him anymore.
it's such a good way to express that without saying a single word. That's something I really appreciate about that moment, and just forcing Coby to stand up for himself.
Exactly, and that's what he's doing. Like he's like, oh God, I'm still depending on his help. I have to depend on myself from now on, and I'm going to become an officer of the Navy, even if I have to just be a cabin boy. Just I need to join, and there's some objections being raised about how pirates are known to plant spies in the Navy, and Coby just gets really determined here.
Yeah, it's a great moment.
I love this emphasis. Like I'll be honest, I think I was around Coby a little too much in the anime, but in the manga, it's like the perfect amount where you just get his arc, and he doesn't become this overly negative. Oh God, this character again, just so spineless. The pacing helps Coby a lot here.
Yeah. It sort of, he gets put on the right path pretty quickly, which is really important. Like this was basically like 5 chapters that he went from just being a crybaby to just like being around Luffy for that little bit of time was enough for him to want to chase his dreams. And I think that's I don't know. It's sowing the seeds for what becomes really compelling stuff later.
You sort of see where things probably are going to go with Luffy interacting with other people from this point.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Also, his trust, because Zoro pointing out, was like, yeah, that was really bad acting, and like, he'll get in somehow. I trust him.
Yeah,
I love this line. It was like, everybody hates us. That's the way pirates should leave a town.
Yeah, that's very true.
But then, of course, we can't have that. We can't have them just leave on their own. We got Coby coming and thanking Luffy, saluting him. Luffy saying, we'll meet again. And then all the other Navy officers come and like, yeah, we're going to salute him away as well. And there's a big celebration. Like, it's a good feel-good moment.
Yeah, and then no dinner for a week for saluting pirates.
Which is still not as much as what Zoro had to do. So,
hey, yeah, that's true. Wow, and just like that, we're on our way to the Grand Line.
Yeah.
That's sort of.
Kind of. I don't think we're going to get there quite yet. But yeah, he got Luffy, 7 chapters in, has his first crewmate. And his first mate. Because they never come out and say it. But yeah, that's basically what Zoro is his first mate.
I feel like they might have said it at some point. Or maybe it's just an assumption since he is the first crew member. But yeah,
I think that's. I think they mentioned it later on. But that's really
for all intents and purposes, he's the first mate. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it brings us to chapter 8. Time for a new arc featuring a character named Nami, as the chapter title points out. Yep. And we see the problem of these two sailing together, where they're hungry, and Zoro points out that's like you can't navigate. And Luffy just points out it's like drifting's worked pretty well for me so far.
Yeah. And then I love this little anecdote of just like Zoro's like, I followed a pirate after I was out to sea. I couldn't find my way back to my village. So like basically he got lost.
I love, like, not to spoil things, but I love this little seed of what's to come in regards to Zoro.
Yes, absolutely.
That it's so subtly done.
Yeah.
And then it pays off so well later. But he's like, yeah, I couldn't find my way back to the village, so I just started hunting pirates. And then we also get another ongoing joke for this series where Luffy's listing off the type of people they need on the crew. It's like, all right, we need a navigator, and we need a cook and a musician. And that is a very common thing, is Luffy wanting a musician for this crew.
Oh, yeah.
I completely forgot it started in chapter 8.
Yeah, wow, talk about, oh, man. How far into the Matrix has Oda been seeing from how early on is what I want to know.
He's said about doing research and preparing, like, in this sort of in-between chapters for the actual volumes. Like, how long did he spend and map out? Because I know he also said that it ended up being longer than he intended. Like, the idea grew from where he started.
I think he said his initial plan was like 5 years.
I can't imagine this story finishing in 5 years. That's insane.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to have that all planned out that far in advance, but it still have that wiggle room. It's impressive stuff. Yeah. Then we got the complete silliness of like, oh, hey, we need food. Hey, there's a bird. Let's go eat it. And he rockets himself up to the bird and just this amazing visual gag of the bird just grabbing hold of his head and flying off.
That is a good catch. How did like I'm staring at this panel of Luffy freaking out because he's like trapped in a bird's beak, and I'm just like, how did this what? And then that's how he just gets carried away.
Yep.
And then Zoro's just like just rowing after him.
It's such a good visual gag. It's like you just like, oh yeah, of course. Like again, it's kind of called back to Goku. It's like, oh, random animal I can eat. Let's just fry it up real quick. And then the opposite happens for Luffy, where it's like, oh, they caught me. Help.
Yep.
Again, the utter ridiculousness of, oh hey, there's 3 men shipwrecked and out in the water. It's like, I can't stop. I got to keep going after them. You have to grab on if you want to be saved. And they somehow manage it.
I love that. It's like, good, you made it. And then these 3 guys is like, you would have left us to die. You're like, yeah.
And then you got this like, hey, stop it. We're actually pirates of this guy named Buggy the Clown. And then Zoro's just like, really?
Really? Yep. oh, and then just like the page flip, and they're all just beaten to a bloody pulp. Like, sorry, we didn't realize you were the pirate hunter.
Yep. And then because of that, it was just long enough that he lost sight of Luffy. Yep. And this is when you hear about like, okay, well, how'd you guys end up in the middle of the ocean anyway? And they blame this random woman.
Yeah.
So they get a nice little flashback here, where they just finished raiding a merchant ship, and we're checking out all the treasure when they find a random boat just out drifting with a young woman just kind of passed out, arm in the water, just completely dehydrated. And it's like, hey, could you spare some water, maybe a piece of bread? I'm lost at sea. I have this treasure chest. If you want to take it, whatever. I need to survive. And they completely fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. They check out the chest. She jumps over to the other one and immediately paddles off.
Just talk about, like, a great way to introduce Nami. And just, like, this is, like, her character in a nutshell. Of just, like, being a complete trickster to get what she wants. And then completely screwing over whoever gets in her way.
It's great because it's also her she's not using her body to get her way. She is using pure mind games in this. And knowing at this point how pirates work.
Yep.
It's like, oh, more treasure. Obviously, they'll go for it.
You can tell that she's been doing this a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And completely tricks them. And then this other really potent idea of just how good she is at whatever this is, where she just knows the weather. Where she points out that a cold front's coming and violent showers, what means there's a squall, and any kind of small vessels like the one she had should worry about capsizing, and then they capsize.
I love that if she had not found them, she probably would have gotten wrecked by that storm, wouldn't she?
That's the assumption.
Because that's where she was.
I have a feeling that she might have seen him in the distance, calculated when the storm front was coming, and just get it like. I think there's a lot of mental math going on there.
yeah, that's sort of all according to plan.
Yeah, you kind of have to go with it. I can see a world where she saw them, plotted out how fast they're going, sets up her ship in just the right position so it can work, and it comes across like this. But
yeah. You can tell she's not the first time she's done this.
Oh, no. And first thing, of course, Zoro points out is like, wow, she's really good. She'd make a great navigator. It's like planting that seed. Like, oh, we need a navigator. Oh, hey, this girl who's really good at navigating just showed up.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Who knew? But then we got like, hey, who is this Buggy the Clown anyway? And all you know is that he's the most ferocious pirate of the parts and actually ate a fruit of the devil like Luffy, which immediately plants, like, I didn't even realize that at first. Again, the gradual step up in enemies as the manga continues, where we had a bandit, then a pirate, like a bad pirate, then the Navy, and now we're getting another pirate, but this one actually has a devil fruit like Luffy, which definitely puts him as more of a potential threat than anything we've had up to this point.
It's somebody that can go toe to toe with him, I guess, is sort of where they're pushing that.
Yeah, that's where it kind of seems at this point. We see Buggy's ship. I love the random elephant mast.
The elephant mast, that's great. I completely forgot that this is what this ship looked like.
I also like looking at it now and knowing how it goes later. The amount of cannons on here is crazy and fits with his character.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 cannons on every side. There's 4 along the sides. There's cannons in that front mast, and even the
so
elephant
excessive.
is a cannon. Yeah,
Yes.
even the mast is a cannon. That's why it's an elephant. It's like I never noticed that before until just looking at it, and it's like, wow, they really set his motif.
Between Nami's introduction a couple of pages ago in this, I feel like there's so much that you can glean from these characters, just like off of just like a couple of little bits of information. And I love it's brilliant. I love it.
It is just amazingly well put together. And then we're back with Nami, who is running for more of Buggy's pirates as she has stolen a map of the Grand Line.
Yep.
And they're mentioning already, like, I don't want to be killed by one of the captain's cannonballs, so if we don't get it back, we're dead.
Yep.
And again, his penchant for cannonballs, we see he sees the bird holding Luffy in the sky.
He says, shoot it down.
Shoot it down. Whatever. Just shoot it down. And Luffy comes crashing right between the pirates and Nami.
Completely unscathed.
Completely unscathed. It's like, who the heck's shooting cannonballs at me? Whew, I'm alive.
Yep.
And Nami, quick thinking as always, like immediately just pins it on him. It's like, oh, hey, boss, you came to rescue me.
Yeah, and it just gets the heck out of there.
She is gone.
Bye.
And yeah, they completely fall for it, hook, line, sinker. Also, not sure why Buggy has a Frankenstein on his crew.
Oh, yeah. Why?
Sure
says Hans Wurst on it. You know what? Sure, why not?
I'll go with it. Why not? I don't understand. But then, again, I forgot how many pivotal things get introduced these early chapters. The Frankenstein guy smacks Luffy across the head, knocking off his hat, and just an immediate punch to the nose, knocking him flat. And don't touch the hat.
This is, I think, maybe the first time we see like anything kind of phase Luffy. This is sort of the one line that you do not cross is the hat.
Yeah. It just immediately putting the importance of that hat on there. It's like, yeah, this is, as he puts it later, it's like, this is his treasure.
Yes.
But he, of course, beats them down with no issue. And Nami's like, oh, hey, you're actually strong. I specialize in robbing pirates. Want to team up? And that's it for the chapter. It's just like, I got this introduction to her, what she's all about. And Luffy's like, really? Robbing pirates? It's mostly set up, but there's a lot of great moments in it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I'd say who do you think has the better introduction so far at this point? Nami or Zoro?
I think you learn a lot more about who Nami is in much quicker of a time. So like I'm kind of impressed with how much Oda is able to convey with what little that we were given. And I think I prefer her introduction just off of that merit alone. But like Zoro is still really great. And I think the way that he's introduced by like everybody talks about him like he's horrible, and then I like how the reality is different than the rumor, the hearsay, that sort of thing. But yeah, I think I do slightly prefer Nami's introduction overall.
I think I do too. She just has this mysterious quality to her, and the fact that she has the intelligence and bravery to rob pirates.
Yeah, it's an interesting hook.
She is perfectly just that trickster. That
I
mean, I know her design is kind of been based upon a cat, but she is kind of Catwoman. She is just...
basically. Just, the pirate version of Catwoman.
And it definitely impresses upon you. And obviously the anime really liked her because they kept sneaking her in all the way back in the first episode.
That was always a really odd choice to me. Not odd in... like, I don't dislike it, but it is definitely one of those, like, I feel like it's kind of playing with the expectations of the people who've read the manga, who are like, oh, okay. And I think even while all of the Morgan stuff is going on, like, I think during that moment, Nami is like, she's like looking for a treasure map or looking for a treasure, and is like, she's basically, it's like, haha, Buggy the Clown got here first or something like that. It is sort of like they were trying to slowly put the pieces in place, whereas the manga just sort of just goes in for it. Yeah,
it's just here she is, and here's her character, and I think I kind of prefer that. Like, yeah, she's kind of mysterious, but I feel like you know what she's all about a little too soon. By the time you get to this point, it's not really a surprise anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if this was the kind of thing that needed that extra build up, but I appreciate that they, I guess, made an attempt to expand on things and make it feel a little bit more cohesive. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could take it or leave it.
And kind of crazy that, again, she was on the title page of the first chapter. It doesn't actually appear until chapter 8. Granted, not
oh my God, you're right.
that long, but
yeah, not that long.
People had to wait 2 months to know who the heck that girl was.
Yeah. There are some other ones that are real long. Actually, even in the first chapter, there's somebody who's like, wait, that's actually really relevant.
That is true. I did notice that, but I decided to hold off on it.
Yeah.
I'll mention if I'm thinking of the same character, which I don't think there's many others, but I think we're thinking of the same one.
Yeah. And there's another one coming up soon that's like shows up really randomly, and you're like, wait, hold on. So it makes me wonder.
But yeah, that brings us to chapter 9, which is Femme Fatale, which that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, it's just her confirming that she steals treasure from pirates, and she thinks she can make a fortune, but Luffy's not interested. And then she just immediately asking like, "Hey, why'd you get mad when you touched a hat?" And Luffy just says, "It's my treasure." And she doesn't think about it in a sympathetic way. It's just like, "Oh, is it jewels hidden in it or a treasure map?" And Luffy's just like, "Leave me alone. Go away."
Yeah.
But then we get our introduction to Buggy. And
this is a great scene.
I love how mysterious it is. He has this weird thing where he is a clown, but he has this really threatening look to him. The crossbones across his face, the deadened eyes, like just...
Yeah, and just like completely in shadow. Like it's way cooler than Buggy deserves, but...
when you find out more about Buggy. But upon his first introduction, he's
threatening.
He is extremely effective, where he finds out from this crew member that they lost Nami, lost the map, and he's like, we're just getting ready to head to the Grand Line and raise some hell. And then we find out one of his quirks where the pirate says, "And only the robber knows." It's like, "What did you say?" I said, "Robber knows." "What? Rubber knows?"
Rubber knows. I didn't get a chance to read this batch of chapters in Japanese yet, but I can just tell that this is probably a great little bit of localization where they had to sort of rearrange the parts, I imagine, to get it to just the right wording to sound like rubber nose.
Yeah, I think
so. That's really, really clever. And he just, even at like the first sense of an imagined slight, he's just throwing stuff and completely wrecking this guy.
Yeah, I think they really had to push for the second one where it's a mistake. So now it's a steak. It looks like beef. It's like,
yeah, that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, a little bit. Now we're getting a little bit into Joe Pesci territory.
Yeah, but I think this is sort of a good introduction to how much Oda really, really loves puns.
Oh yeah,
and there's so many puns, so many that do get lost in translation. Some that are able to make it over or have to be adapted in some way to make it work. But like there's just wordplay everywhere.
It also sets up like, what the heck is his power? What is his devil fruit? Because all we see is
it looks like he's getting force choked.
Really?
Like Darth Vader.
He's just lifted up off the ground, getting choked. And it's like, what is happening to this guy? And I'm not going to actually say his power because we do not learn any, even next chapter.
I love the mystery behind it, though. And I think it doesn't happen all the time with like character introductions in One Piece, but there are some characters whose devil fruits like you're speculating on for hundreds of chapters. Because Oda will just do this. Like he'll just frame it in a way where you don't have all of the crucial information to understand what is going on with this character's power. And like that, I think it makes it when the actual reveal happens, you're like, oh, okay. He's able to really toy with your expectations some.
And then we get the full reveal of Buggy and two of his more prominent crewmates, we'll put it this way.
I don't remember these guys' names at all.
I know their gimmicks, but I completely forget their names.
Yep.
But again, they look cool. Like even the guy in the weird bear suit is like, he does it. And then just the lazy way that Buggy's sitting in the chair, it's like, man. And as he's doing this force choke to this guy.
Yeah.
And then, God, I forgot how violent these were because I had in my head, it's like, oh, nobody actually dies in One Piece.
Oh, no.
He gets blown the crap up.
Yeah, he's blown up. Buggy, he's just like, cool guys don't look at explosions. Just all of the heavy black ink in that panel is just all of the just like the light coming from the explosion behind them. It's way cooler than it has any right to be.
I know. He is set up as such a good villain. Like, I think that's going to be another thing we have to talk about, because again, no spoilers, but no major spoilers, I should say. But Buggy doesn't maintain this level of threat.
No, not at all. I think even relatively soon, he has this really cool introduction, but as we'll see, things just get really, really silly with him, which I love the contrast.
The transition will be fun to talk about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So yeah, kills his own men in a way more violent than Alvida, and basically says, "All right, go get the map, take everything of value, just go." Again, setting up this real good threat to it.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Luffy and Nami are just hanging out in a random house. Apparently the town's just deserted.
Yeah, I love that Nami's like, I don't know whose house this is.
I love how he says, Luffy's just completely barely paying attention. It's like, oh, are Nami and his men really that scary? It's like, I'm Nami. And yeah, then you sort of get tales of Buggy where he blew up a village because kids made fun of his nose.
That
and he has the mysterious powers, and Luffy doesn't care.
Yeah, he's just all of this exposition happening, and he's just like, I'm not paying. That's weird.
And he's like, oh, you're looting the houses. It's like, no, I only robbed from pirates. Again, good character moment where you're finding out exactly you get more of her deal.
Yeah, Nami has standards. Thank you.
Yeah, only pirates, no random people, just pirates, and.
Yeah.
Get the immediate frustration of like, oh god, dealing with Luffy. And
Also a running theme.
Oh yeah, just I don't know, complete headache.
Yeah,
but we also get more of her deal, where the reason she's robbing pirates is that she needs to get 100 million berries to buy a certain village. Mm-hmm. Considering we saw 8 million for Haguma the bear, that is a lot of money.
100 million, at this point in the story, that's a lot of money. It's sort of something I think we'll get to it when we get to it. It's just something to keep in the back of your head for now, if anyone's reading along.
Nice little plan in your head, because that's key. That amount of money is key. But yeah, her plan is to basically get this map, head for the Grand Line, and then steal from bigger and better pirates so she can make that money even quicker.
I love that every time anybody else has brought up the Grand Line so far in the story, it's been sort of described as like this horrible place that you never want to go alone. Kobe's like, you're just a pirate crew of 2 people. What are you doing? And then Nami's just like, I'm just gonna go and steal from pirates in the Grand Line. Like, just like so confident in herself. I dig it a lot.
It kind of underlines just how good her navigator skills are, because like she says, I'm the best navigator around. I love the sea. And I never questioned the idea that she couldn't do it. Like, she is that good.
Totally. Yeah.
Hearing that she's a navigator immediately excites Luffy.
But then the other shoe drops, and Luffy asks to join my pirate crew, and that's sort of the line for Nami, that she's just like, no way.
And she's like, nope, I don't want to team up with you. I take it back. And, oh, okay, so you're just after some treasure that you keep in the hat of yours. Like, you have the map of whatever treasure this is. You get the sense that he is starting to affect her just a little bit. Just by the fact that he says, I treasure it because a friend gave it to me a long time ago. Mm-hmm. She's kind of shuffles it off, not worry about it. And then you get this kind of awkward sentence from her.
Oh, yeah.
If there's one thing in this world I really hate, it's pirates. But I love money and tangerines. It's like, okay, not on topic, but sure.
Yeah, and I understand what he's trying to do there, but it is sort of like okay, all right. Sort of a weird time to bring that up, but hey.
Yeah, a little bit. And then, of course, we get Luffy's stubbornness coming out. It's like, she's made all those declarations like, so how about it? You still want to be my navigator?
She just said that she hates you and hates everything that you stand for. It's just like, so, yeah. Do you want to join? Like, oh, okay. Luffy.
I mean, but then she uses it to her advantage, of course. It's like, well, I'll consider it if on one condition. Let's go see Buggy. And just brings out a rope. And as they get closer, just ties him up.
Yep.
I love how she's actually able to do this. He doesn't resist.
Yeah, no. She is somehow able to make it work.
I think there's a lot of moments where you're kind of wondering what's going through Luffy's head. How much does he know? How dumb is he playing? I don't know. But yeah, we go back to Buggy, who's chewing out the 3 pirates that Luffy beat up, and he's ready to kill them. And then this weird other pirate comes in and just says, "Oh, hey, she's back."
She just walked in. She just walked in through the front door.
Yeah. That's when she turns over Luffy and is like, "Hey, I captured the thief. This is my boss. We had a falling out, and here's the map."
Yep. It's sort of just like what we were talking about earlier. Like, how long is it going to take for Buggy to start being silly? And it's like, oh, right here. He's just... As soon as he gets the news that Nami's here, he's just like, great. And then he's like, wait, hold on. And then he's just... After seeing Nami say that, like, we had a falling out. And he's just like, huh, okay.
It's just that... I love that face on him before he just breaks out laughing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, he's a little dumb.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit.
And then Luffy's just in a huff. Is like, well, don't think about joining my crew anymore because he's in a cage.
Yeah, he's a little bad.
Mm-hmm. And we end off the chapter with Zoro arriving in town with the other pirates.
Oh, baby.
I love, again, establishing a tradition. Arrive at a new place, immediately separate everybody, and everybody gets a little piece of the story and has their own sort of plots that start interconnecting as time goes on.
Yep. I feel like the seeds are really planting for what would become like the quintessential One Piece story arc.
Yeah.
Where and of course it's not maybe as effective when you just have like Luffy and Zoro and now Nami all kind of juggling their own ambitions, but I do sort of appreciate that, like, okay, we are giving multiple characters sort of like each side of the story with their own perspective, and they sort of weave in and out of importance as the story demands.
It's an effective way of making sure every character gets time to shine.
Yeah, for sure.
Which definitely is an issue for other shonen series. How do you balance all these characters? And we'll see how effective Oda is at it as time goes on, whether they all have a time to shine. But right now, again, this is mainly seems to be getting Luffy and Nami connected.
Yep.
And yeah, we start up chapter 10, Incident at the Tavern, with a big party. Got these crazy clown pirates on unicycles and balls and just doing these weird parlor tricks while drinking and just all ready for it. And you find out Nami can hold her alcohol and easily outdrinks most pirates.
I don't think that ever comes up again, but
I don't think so. Meanwhile, Luffy's just like, I want food, and is just gnawing on the bars.
Yeah. Which is something that he continues to do throughout the chapter. I think even in that same pose where he's just got like his head is at a 90-degree angle, but the rest of his body is sitting down.
Yeah, it's so good. He's like hungry, and she actually does get him some food. Like, you don't see it. She's just like, "Hey, I'm starving. Thanks for the food." Mm-hmm. Not really needing that have the thing. It's like, "Oh, hey, you're not so bad. Hey, join my crew." He just does not let it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when, she's like, okay, if my plan works out, maybe I'll let you go. So you don't seem so bad for a pirate. And then Buggy shows up.
Yep. It's the face-to-face confrontation.
Yep. And that's when you get the introduction of the Buggy Balls.
Yeah. It's just so silly. But as we'll see, it's not to be trifled with.
Yeah. This is the biggest display of power we've ever seen up to this point. Where that one tiny cannon is strong enough to decimate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7 or 8 houses in a row, all the way out to sea.
I love how they all just sort of like they have this sort of cartoony bend to them as the cannonball is going straight through them, and it's just like it's a really good way to just sell the destructive power of this thing. Yeah,
it is just devastatingly powerful, and it's like, okay, I don't think Luffy can survive that. That's not happening. And that's kind of important because, Buggy wants to have Nami show her dedication to the cause by killing her former boss. She tries to laugh it off. And again, you get a nice threatening look from Buggy where he's just like, do it.
Do it. Oh, that's a great face. A great panel.
Yeah. It's like, it's amazing how effectively, like, he can be so threatening in that, like, at the top panel, but then you look at the bottom left one, he's saying blowing to pieces, where he just has the stupidest laugh face on it.
He is going back and forth between just completely threatening and totally silly.
And it works because he's a clown.
He's a clown. Yeah, he manages to pull it off surprisingly well.
And again, another wonder, like, man, Luffy stands out as such a great main character because Nami is like, oh God, what should I do? If I don't kill him, they'll kill me. And he's just a no good pirate, but if I kill him, I'll be as bad as a pirate, and just trying to figure out what to do it. And Luffy just notices her hand shaking, and he's like, that's what you get for going up against pirates unprepared. And she's like, oh, you mean like not willing to kill? He's like, no, I mean risking your own life for what you believe in.
Yeah, and I think something that'll be it happens every now and again. You have these moments where like a character just has their life on the line, and they're just smiling. They are absolutely prepared to risk their own life for what they want. And I think that sort of like smiling in the face of certain danger is kind of, it is a huge part of like Luffy's appeal as a character. Yeah,
he is kind of unafraid of that sort of thing, and knows what he's all about. And that little speech is enough for like this other pirate lights the fuse on the cannon, and she immediately pulls out this bow staff that's in 3 parts on her leg, which that's pretty cool. How she puts it all together and just smacks the crap out of this guy. It's like, man, okay, she's actually pretty effective.
I love that, Buggy seems so offended at this. Just like, after I welcomed you to my crew, like that was like 5 minutes ago. Like, you've betrayed us. Like, oh no.
I know. We drank together for maybe an hour.
Yeah.
How dare you? He really got attached to Nami very quickly. And even Luffy's actually surprised at her doing this.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wait, you're actually going to save me? He's like, no, I just got carried away and didn't become a murderer. And again, another little clue to what Nami's deal is, where you pirates took someone dear to me. I'll never become what I hate.
Uh-huh.
He's like, so that's why you hate pirates. Oh, wait, the fuse is lit. Help.
Like, we don't have time for this character development, immediate danger.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense. Sometimes you hear that sort of stuff. It's like, you want to tell me more? And usually it's like there's a lot of downtime. But here it's like, no, there's literally a cannon about to blow him up.
Yep.
And all the other pirates are coming after her. And she notices the fuse is still lit. And rather than take on the pirates, well, she kind of swipes at them. But they completely dodge her. So kind of showing like, okay, she's smart. And she can kind of handle herself. But not enough to go against pirates directly. Like, they are...
Yeah.
Like, the one guy is, like, just really confident with how he's, like, kind of on his back.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
You can see how desperate Luffy is because the bar he's chewing on just has all these bite marks and honestly looks like he's about to break through.
Yeah, he's almost there.
I give him a little bit more time and I think he could do it. But instead she decides to just go for the fuse and, like, burns her own hand in order to stop it. Like again, I love those
painful
moments. So it's like, oh God, I'm so desperate to save somebody. I'm willing to put up with this pain.
Yeah.
It really is effective, showing just how determined she is, what she's trying to do. And that's when Zoro shows up.
Yes. Zoro has the coolest entrances.
I know, right?
And he's blocking them with like the scabbard of his sword.
Yeah, only using 2, has them both sheathed, taking out all 4 of these pirates and just casually asking, like, how many pirates does it take to handle this girl?
Yeah, seriously.
He's asking even about her, how she's doing. And that's when they find out, like, oh, wait, this guy is Zoro.
Yeah.
That's enough to catch Buggy's interest. He's like, oh, you've come to capture me. He's like, no, I'm just here for my friend.
Yeah.
And Buggy's more than willing to actually take on Zoro.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes after Zoro, and Zoro, well, that's the end of Buggy. Cuts him in the middle, cuts off his leg. He is done.
Chopped into pieces.
He has, like, 5 knives? But Zoro just goes through it, and that's what we're left with. It's like Luffy being like, wait, that was way too easy.
What a cliffhanger.
And his crew just being like,
oh, there's something deeper here.
Like, I saw that for us. Like, oh no, that's how we're ending this? We don't know what's like, we still don't know Buggy's powers. All we know is he just got chopped up, but nobody seems worried. And even Luffy thinks that was too easy. He's like,
Yeah. Clearly, that's not going to be the end of this fight.
No, there's
but
something more to it.
Yeah, that is the end of our little batch of chapters for now.
Yeah. And I gotta say, really great wrap up to Coby's character and a really great introduction to Nami's character.
Yeah, this bit has been like starting fast. It's been starting strong, and just in sort of how many moving parts have been going on in the story.
Yeah. I know this one's definitely the longest of our arcs so far. So I'm not sure how many more chapters are left to it, but
me neither.
There's definitely more to see, and I'm excited to see how it goes. And again, I've never experienced this through the manga, only through the anime. So seeing how it's changed, how it does it, I'm excited for it, because manga is a bit more brutal than the anime.
You're able to get away with a little bit more violence, and the story basing has been like sublime so far. I'm kind of shocked at. I feel like every time I read a batch of 5 chapters, I'm like, I could read 10 more right now.
Oh, easily could read 10 more. It's like, we got to pace ourselves for the sake of the podcast.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm still invested. I still think it's really well done. I'm curious for those, like, obviously we're dropping hints of stuff coming in the future just because we've read ahead, but going, like, not knowing about those hints, just having those things dropped and sort of like just seeing them. I do remember being like ready to, like, well, in my case, watch the next episode, because it's like, man, this is pretty interesting. I do know that I have a bit of a complaint up until a certain point for One Piece, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We have a ways to go before I kind of address that complaint.
Okie dokie, yeah.
But it is one of those things where I think it takes a little while for One Piece to become truly great. You can see the places that they're preparing things, where the little seeds are being planted, but it hasn't quite reached that like amazing part yet.
Yeah, I know where this manga starts to hit its stride, and I absolutely can't wait to get there and discuss those chapters.
Yeah. Gonna be a little while yet, but for now, we got a clown we've dealt with a clown, supposedly. We'll have to see what actually happens next time. But with that, I believe we've said all we wanted to say about chapters 6 to 10 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. Brandon, where can they find you at?
They can find me on Twitter. I'm at Brandon Bovia. I talk about, anime, manga, games, whatever I'm working on manga-wise. Again, I feel like I need to start weaving this into my intro. That I'm the English letterer for Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju number 8, Ayashimon, and many, many more series.
He knows his stuff. I got an expert.
We'll see about that. I'm slightly less of a clown compared to Buggy. I'll put it that way.
That is true. Well, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 11 to 15 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Bye-bye.
Did you say something about my nose? So, are you trying to tell me you find my nose funny? Is my nose amusing?